Hey everybody, Retrofied here, and today's the 6th day in this month-long marathon leading up to the Switch 2's launch. And for today's video, I wanted to talk about 3 new Mario games we could get for the Switch 2. So if you guys are excited about the Switch 2, make sure you leave a comment below telling me what games you want to see for the Switch 2. And make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more of these videos in this month-long marathon. So without further ado, let's start talking about what games we could see on the Switch 2. So first off, a game that a lot of us probably want and expect to come out is Luigi's Mansion 4. So Luigi's Mansion 3 did really well, so we're obviously going to get another sequel eventually, but the question is, what would this sequel be? So with a lot of these new games we're seeing on the Switch 2 like Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza, it looks like Nintendo is reinventing their franchises. And what I mean by this is we're getting completely new eras of these games. So I think for Luigi's Mansion, we could see something similar to that. So with the first Luigi's Mansion, we obviously saw kind of a smaller open world feel to it where we had the one big mansion. And then in the second game, we had more of the mission structure to it rather than having the big open world. And then going into the third game, we had more of that open world, but it was kind of combining the best of both worlds with the open world and the mission structure. So I think for Luigi's Mansion 4, it would be really cool to see kind of an open world aspect to it where there could be multiple big mansions or just one extremely huge mansion rather than having, the hotel where the rooms are stacked on top of each other and each room is its own, mini dungeon. I think it'd be very cool to go back to these mansions that have just smaller rooms and just a more like exploration type feel to them. I think it'd be very cool if there was a storyline to the game and it kind of had Luigi making his own business of kind of ghost busting and going out to these different mansions. I'd also think it'd be pretty cool for Mario to not be the damsel in distress like he always is in these games. So yeah, I think Luigi's Mansion 4 would be a really cool game to see on the Switch 2 because the Switch 2 is super powerful and Luigi's Mansion 3 was already one of the best looking games on the Switch 1. So imagine what Nintendo could do with this power. Rather than just making the graphics look good, they could just make there be so much stuff around Luigi and just so many ghosts on the screen because the Switch 2 can render all that. Alright, so the next game I want to see Nintendo come out with is a new All-Stars game. Not new 3D All-Stars, because we did get a new All-Stars game with 3D All-Stars, but I'd love to see a new All-Stars game with the new series of Mario games. New Super Mario Bros., New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and New Super Mario Bros. 2 are all stuck on these older systems and aren't on the Switch. I know we have Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe on the Switch, but we don't have any of these other games, and they're all just, sitting on the Wii and DS and 3DS. So I'd really like for Nintendo to kind of go back and actually remake these games rather than what they did with 3D All-Stars. If you got 3D All-Stars, then they were just ports and kind of touch-ups of the games. They weren't remasters, they weren't remakes, it was just little touch-ups of those games. So I think seeing an actual remake of these games would be really cool. Imagine if they remade them in the style of Mario Wonder, or remade them with their own completely new style. It would get a lot of people who never played on the Wii or DS to actually get into these games because they're really good games. So lastly, I would want to see a new 3D Mario game. So obviously, we're gonna get a new 3D Mario game. That's Nintendo's icon. They're not gonna just not make a new game. But the question is, what would this 3D Mario game be like? Now, I think a lot of people want it to kind of be like, Odyssey or Galaxy, where it is a connected hub world where you go to all these different places, complete missions there, and then, head back to the hub world. But I'd like to see Nintendo do something completely different. I think incorporating elements from the RPG games and Paper Mario would be really cool for Nintendo to do. Imagine having this big world where all the levels are connected. So imagine taking Mario 64 and connecting every single one of the levels and adding land connecting them. You just have this incredibly huge world, so I would imagine Nintendo would do something like that for their new game. So also just imagine being able to do just whatever you want. Kind of like how Breath of the Wild, you can just go fight Ganon if you really want to, or just go do whatever you want. There's no limits stopping you from finishing the game in the first 20 minutes or playing through the entire game. because every 3D Mario game for the past forever has been kind of based on 64's design. And you can definitely see this in Mario Odyssey, that it's a lot like 64. Obviously there are new mechanics and new worlds and new bosses, but the core gameplay is still very similar to Mario 64. But having kind of an RPG 3D Mario game would be very cool, because obviously we do get the RPG games in the form of Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi, but for it to be a 3D Mario game and still have that RPG aspect like Breath of the Wild had would be really cool for the game. So those are all my ideas for some games Nintendo could release it within probably about the first year of the system's launch. I feel like we definitely are getting a new 3D Mario pretty soon. Luigi's Mansion could be another really soon game, but I feel like the All-Stars could kind of be something they come out with in like 2 to 3 years. But if you guys have any suggestions about what games you'd like to see on the Switch 2, make sure you leave a comment below, because I'm still looking for more ideas to talk about and to even just, theorize about with you guys. So I will see you guys tomorrow.